Good morning, everyone. Whoa. Good morning, everyone. If everyone could have a seat. Welcome. I think most of you know my name. I'm Lou Stern. So good to see you all here. Welcome to our Earth Day service. For those of you who celebrate Easter, Happy Easter.
Thank you. Happy Easter to you.
Thank you. A celebration of rebirth. Earth Day was first held on April 22nd, 1970. So this is the 55th anniversary. And it's celebrated every April to demonstrate support for Earth's sustainability. We join 1 billion people this year in more than 193 countries who hold a wide range of events this week. This year's Earth Day theme is Our Power, Our Planet, highlighting 5 sources of renewable energy, including solar, wind, hydroelectric, geothermal, human, and tidal-generated energy. We also celebrate the power that each of us has as humans, power to save and protect the planet. Earth is now home not only to 8.7 billion humans, but also a web of other life, including, ready for some numbers, 10 million animal species, 1 trillion microorganisms, 400,000 plant species that produce 70% of Earth's oxygen, and there are 10.8 million insect species that pollinate 70% of the world's crops, and 200,000 marine species producing the rest of our oxygen and absorbing 30% of our carbon emissions. A lot. We live on an amazing planet that we celebrate today in music, images, words, and traditions. We owe many thanks to many people in making this morning's service possible. Here are the people who've been involved. Social and Environmental Action Committee, the Religious Service Committee, Izzy Williams, our service associate, Raleigh Weaver, our minister, Fred Johnson, our music director, Nancy Wendland, pianist, Joe Scott, guitarist, and Jeanette Volk on flute, and Rosa Whiting from the Social Environmental Action Committee. In the language of the Wampanoag people, Earth is called Auke, Auke. And on this Earth Day, may we sustain Auke as it sustains us. Izzy.
Hi, well, I'm Izzy Williams. Hi, Kathy. Good morning. I have 3 announcements. The first announcement is to please turn off things that will interrupt the service. And our second announcement is from Reed Walsh of the Caring Committee.
Good morning and happy Earth Day. The Caring Committee has happily provided the spring flowers for you to enjoy this morning. After the service, we need your help. To the right, no, your left of the pulpit is a table with cards with the names and addresses of people to take flowers to. Take a card or 2 and take a plant or 2 and bring joy to that person and to you. Happy Easter.
Thank you, Reed. And now Jessica Mark Welch will give us some kind of update on the pledge drive.
Thank you, Izzy. So this is the final week of the pledge drive. It's been going really well. We're making great progress toward our goal. We are so grateful for the generosity of this congregation, for your commitment to each other. We're really lifting each other up, and it's wonderful. So thank you. Next week, We will have a bowl here, a great big bowl. We'll do our commitment ceremony, so you can bring your pledge form and turn it in next week. Or if you've already turned it in, we'll have blank forms that you can use to participate in the ceremony of commitment to one another. We're trying to have pledge drive conversations, so have canvassers talk to as many people as possible. If you haven't talked to a canvasser and you want to, please let me know. And if you need a pledge form or a cheerful letter about the pledge drive, I have them right here. So anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. Now let us bring our hearts and minds to this place as we start the service with Nancy's prelude. I'm out of blues, sorry.
Wow. That is my favorite song to get to a peaceful place. Eric Satie, Jim Napidi, #1. Thank you both. Really appreciate it. Now light our traditional, I think it would be good for me to hold this. Hello? Cool. Success. We now light our traditional chalice. On this Earth Day, we recommit ourselves as a green sanctuary to engage in an ambitious environmental and climate justice movement that seeks to live fully our principles and achieve our vision of a sustainable and just world for all. So in addition to lighting our chalice, a symbol of hope, the quest for truth, the warmth of community, and the light of reason, this morning we start a new tradition of lighting a green sanctuary candle. Thank you, Izzy. David and Rudolph, as we now show images of Earth, our teacher, and the words of Chief Yellow Lark of the Lakota Sioux tribe, Earth, teach me. Earth, teach me stillness as the grasses are stilled with light. Earth, teach me suffering as the old stones suffer with memory. Earth, teach me humility. But first, humility as blossoms are humble with beginning. Earth, teach me caring as the mother who secures her young, our granddaughter. Earth, teach me courage as the tree which stands alone. Earth, teach me limitation as the snail which crawls upon the ground. Earth, teach me freedom as the bird that soars in the sky. Earth, teach me resignation as the leaves which die in the fall. Earth, teach me regeneration as the seed which rises in the spring. Earth, teach me to forget myself as the melted snow forgets its life. And Earth, teach me to remember kindness as the dry fields weep in the rain.
Please join me in saying the affirmation of our covenant. Love. Now stand as you are able and to join in singing our opening hymn, number 163, for the earth forever turning.
Sing
and it's called Hope is Alive. The sun lifting over Dorset Dunes, Nobska Light, Seagull Beach, and Cahoon Hollow. A deep breath that quells the disquieted heart. The warm face of the miracle of life. Sea mist on a morning tender. A sweet wave of innocence. A rainbow's reach beyond the horizon, uplifting smile, a twinkling star, sea swell and spring tide, born into the gifts of life and mortality. Awakening to the reality of this ever-changing planet, the impressionistic skies, Atlantic surprises, far-reaching trees and percussive bumblebees emerge and disappear. Dawn to dark, each day and every unfolding millennium, we breathe at day's end, drift to sleep, and rise to thoughts of the new day. Would we immerse ourselves into the inevitable ending that will come when our bodies are finished carrying our souls into Earth's evolution to its next iteration? The gift of another day calls on us to dive into love and the art of possibility. Shall we waste our precious time contemplating the inevitable, or instead savor every moment and each of Earth's simple and majestic gifts? Would we focus now on our last breath to come, temperatures and seas rising, the evolution we have set in motion, or rejoice in waves, songbirds, mountaintops, and the onshore breezes on our freshened face? Hope is not elusive. It is the knowing that we awake and do what we can, that each day is to be cherished as gifted mortal beings, a baby's smile, today's heartbeats, and the sunrise. Hope is alive.
Hello again. This is the time in our service to silently remember our individual joys and concerns. As you would like, please come to the front to silently drop a pebble into the water, right up here, as a symbol of each of your joys and concerns. For those joining us on Zoom, if you would like, you may share your joys and concerns on the chat. To be read out loud by David. May we have compassion for ourselves and each other as we listen to the music.
I was supposed to read any joys and concerns that were put in the book, but I don't know where the book is. David, do you have a book?
I have the book, but everyone's joys and concerns are being held silently today.
Okay. Nobody on Zoom? Well, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad. So now is our time for meditation and silent reflection. Please take a moment in silence to be mindful of all your joys and concerns and those of others with a spirit of compassion and hope. And now, please remain seated as we sing Spirit of Life. This Earth Day, we remember and celebrate the gift of environmental stewardship given to our fellowship and the community over so many years by one of our cherished members, Don Mallinson. Don passed away just over a year ago after a long life dedicated to his family, Earth, Cape Cod, and UUF Falmouth. We just found out that Don's wife, Eileen, passed away just 2 weeks ago. Our condolences to the family. As remembered in Don's obituary, during most of his life, Don was active in the Appalachian Mountain Club, the Coast Guard Auxiliary, this fellowship, and many environmental causes. He was well-versed and outspoken about democratic politics. He was the initiator of the elimination of single-use plastic bags in Falmouth, which resulted in a standing ovation at the town meeting where the resolution passed unanimously. He taught boating safety and navigation for the Coast Guard Auxiliary. He was instrumental in the Newport and Falmouth Unitarian Universalist Fellowships, earning the Green Sanctuary designations. His proud accomplishments also include jumping out of an airplane, climbing Mount Rainier, and building his dream net zero house, in which he gave to many of us tours all over the Cape, people from all over the Cape. Don served as a role model and mentor to many of the people in this room, including me, as environmental activists. He brought UU Falmouth into the Faith Communities Environmental Network. Now, at the time, was only 11 members. Now we have 47 different faith communities on the Cape and Islands. He led our Green Sanctuary Committee, was the first to stand out in local demonstrations to protect our local and global environment with his wonderful hat, and address climate change and environmental justice. Rather than just speak about Don, let's listen for just a couple minutes to it's actually 1 minute, to a recording of Don and Maria Moniz talking about something Don cared a great deal about, our reciprocity with Earth. In the words of Robert Wall Kimmerer,
in her book, Braiding Sweetgrass. This was recorded on a breezy day just outside the sanctuary in our memorial garden for our previous Earth Day service a couple of years ago. Testing.
The book, Braiding Sweetgrass, is by Robin Wall Kimmerer. She has a PhD in botany and is a member of the Onondaga.
All right, let's start this again.
New York. Dr. Kimmerer
How are we going to? I tested it before it worked.
combines indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge,
Can you hear it?
and the teaching of plants in a book that advocates sustainability, something her elders have been teaching for generations.
Aha! You know how to computerize, but you don't know how to learn the.
Indicate a few guidelines. Some
Earth is in control. Thank you. All right, we're going to start this again. That's right.
The book, Braiding Sweetgrass, is by Robin Wall Kimmerer. She has a PhD in botany and is a member of the Onondaga tribe in upstate New York. Dr. Kimmerer combines indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge, and the teaching of plants in a book that advocates sustainability, something her elders have been teaching for generations. The section on the teaching of plants indicate a few guidelines for an honorable harvest. Here are some of those guidelines.
Never take the first. Never take the last.
Take only what you need.
Take only what is given.
Never take more than half. Leave some for others.
Harvest in a way that minimizes harm.
Give a gift in reciprocity for what you have taken.
Sustain the plants that sustain you, and the earth will last forever.
Good to bring Dawn back for just a minute. Would Dawn's family please come up? Would you hold that, please? Up there. Thank you. These are 6 members of Dawn's family. Thank you so much for coming. This is Dawn's posthumous award. On behalf of our Social and Environmental Action Committee and our entire fellowship, we honor Donald Foster Mallinson with the 2025 UUF Falmouth Environmental Stewardship Award for Lifetime Achievement, Advocacy, and Action. Thank you. We've got the whole world in our hands. Since, as the old spiritual says, we've got it, how can we retain hope when we see what has been done to Earth in the last 100 years and wonder if now we can really make a difference? Wonder if we have power to save the planet? To answer the question, I consulted with some old friends who I've admired for many years. In her book, The Silent Spring, Rachel Carson, whose statue we had, bust we had made a few years ago, reminded us that, quote, those who contemplate the beauty of Earth find reserves, strength that will endure as long as life lasts. She says that there is something infinitely healing in the repeated refrain of nature, the assurance that dawn comes after night and spring after winter, end quote. What I am reminded of by Rachel Carson is that Earth provides its own hope. And Earth calls us to action to protect our home. How can we stay hopeful and take action to preserve it? First, I believe that answer lies in this Earth Day's theme, power. Not the power of Washington or the UN, but the power each of us has, individually and together, to treasure and protect our home. Second, youth gives me hope. And so I went to Greta Thunberg. And she said, all we have to do is wake up and change. Is that too simple? Is there anything preventing me or you from waking up, literally or figuratively, and deciding to change what we've been doing? One of the environmentalists I have most admired over the last 50 years is David Attenborough. Sir Attenborough had said, an understanding of the natural world and what's in it is a source of not only great curiosity, but great fulfillment. So what curiosity and fulfillment can Earth provide us as we wake up and become more aware of the land, the water, and the sky? What answers does Earth teach us about how to save the planet? One of the core principles that connects the people in this room is peace. As a young pacifist, one of the leaders who inspired me most was Mahatma Gandhi, who said, Earth provides enough to satisfy every person's need, but not every person's greed. When we wake up, what do we want but don't need? What have you gotten used to or expect? What could we change to remove a barrier to sustainability in our lives, locally, nationally, and internationally? Sitting Bull led his people during years of resistance against the United States government's policies. Perhaps we must stand up, but stand up peacefully to our decades-long government policies about using up our land instead of preserving it. As we enjoy the spring, Sitting Bull provides insight. He said, my friends, the spring has come. The earth has gladly received the embraces of the sun, and we shall soon see the results of their love. The sun is the greatest power that we have just begun to use. Instead of using up earth and burning fossil fuels that block sun's power, we rely on mass farming and our diet of animals that exude methane that blocks the sun's power. As we drive, boat, and fly to see the beauties of Earth that we're destroying by getting to them. Over 100 years ago, John Muir provided simple guidance. He said, in every walk in nature, one receives far more than he seeks. End quote. When we wake up, whether in bright sun, clear skies, warm temperatures, or feeling energized, would a walk in nature not provide us with far more than we seek? Jane Goodall has earned respect of people all over the world. She just had a birthday. In her words, quote, you cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. The world is not waiting for us to do something. We're already doing it. But what can we do differently when we wake up today or tomorrow and each following day to make a more sustainable difference? It's not that we don't know what we need to do. We know. And we've started to do many of these things. We have the power to change the sources of power we use, to do what is needed rather than what we're used to. When it comes to our use of power, whatever we're doing now, we can do more to reduce our use of energy that's producing 80% of the greenhouse gases. And we know the 4 areas where we can do more. First, switch from driving, flying, or motorboating to walking, biking, electric autos, boats, and planes, our virtual travel and communication via media and the internet. The first fully electric planes are on their way in the next 2 years. The fully electric cars are already here. The full electric boats are already here. Yes, it costs a little bit more now, but saves us in the future. We can switch to virtual travel and communication via media and internet. The next time you need to meet with someone 50 miles, 100 miles, 6,000 miles away, think of getting on the phone, doing a Zoom call. Not always works, but a lot of times it does. And let's reverse the difference to preserve Earth rather than use it up. Second, home. What can we do at home? No surprises here. Fully insulate, update our appliances to energy efficient equipment, and switch our home energy sources from fossil fuel to solar. How many people have already done that? Lot. Solar, geothermal, wind, or 100% local generated renewable energy through Cape Light Compact. So any of you who sign up through Cape Light Compact to get solar generated, fully renewable energy, locally generated, it's automatic. You don't have to do anything. Cost a few cents more, it can really make a change. We're already making a negative difference in how we travel today. Let's reverse that difference to preserve Earth. And yes, there is a cost to make these changes, but there's a bigger cost to not make those changes. And we're already paying those greater costs for the future of Earth and its inhabitants. Third, financial investments. The companies need money. We're the bigger investments. Sell our investments in heavy carbon businesses that produce and use fossil fuels. Reinvest those funds in renewable and other eco-friendly companies. Yes, we may not make quite as much money today, but we're borrowing from tomorrow and our children and grandchildren and future generations to make a little bit more, return our investments today. Fourth, and finally, advocacy. Advocate, just like Dawn did, and support renewable energy production and use, and a reliable, resilient electric grid with capacity we need for now and the future. Are we tired, feeling old? Wondering if our phone calls or letters or demonstrations to our government officials will really make a difference? We are already making a difference in our silence. They really think if we're not saying anything, not standing up, then we have no problem. They interpret that by the use of powers as accepting the status quo. Chief Seattle of the Duwamish and Suquamish peoples, after whom the city of Seattle was named, said, quote, "Humankind has not woven a web of life. We are but one thread within it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. All things are bound together. All things connect." We say that we're part of the interconnected web of life. We're right. We're already making a difference in how we live every day. Each change we make when we wake up makes a double difference. We stop whatever we've been doing that contributes to the unsustainability of the Cape and the Earth, and we start whatever we do to increase the sustainability of life on Earth and future generations of mankind and all life. We've got the whole world in our hands. 160 years ago, Abraham Lincoln said, "My dream is of a place and time where America will once again be seen as the last best hope of Earth." We can make this be the time and place. We have the power to make that happen, not the president, not the Congress, not the billionaires, not the UN, not the power companies, but we, the people. The power users, the travelers, the renters, the homeowners, the investors, the voters, the consumers. We have the power of demand to change how we use power and use Earth. Let's wake up and use our power for the future. George Burns once said, when he was a boy, the Dead Sea was only sick. In 5 years, may we be able to say that the earth was just sick in 2025, but we woke up. We used our power. We changed the power we used and helped save Earth for future generations. We've got the whole world in our hands, and it's a magnificent, perfect, and sustaining planet if we stop using it up. We just need to use the sun, use technology, and let Earth be. Let it be. More than just words of wisdom, let it be. Thank you. UU Falmouth is a special place for us to come together, and welcome to all our guests. With hope, the quest for truth, the warmth of community, and the light of reason, to support all of this and our work in the community, we pass the plate for your financial support of all of our work. But today, in celebration of Earth Day, we join other members of the Faith Communities Environmental Network to support a new scholarship administered by the Cape Cod Foundation. Cape Cod youth are the future stewards of this beautiful peninsula, and Earth is the rest of the 21st century. So on this Earth Day, we share half of your contributions to support the Cape Cod Salty Scholarship for graduating high school seniors on the Cape who plan to study environmentally related disciplines including fisheries, wildlife, conservation biology, natural resources, environmental, marine, and aquatic sciences. As the baskets are passed, please give generously to support the good works of our congregation and the scholarship for local graduating high school seniors committed to study and work for the future of Earth. Thank you. Checking out the baskets. Oh, you got it? Okay, so you're ready. Go for it. Thank you. morning, we have celebrated the beauty of Earth and remembered its tenuous nature. Jean and Steve, your turn. Jean and Steve are about to hand out blue marbles. It's blue, but it has nothing on it except the blue. And the intention is that it's in our hands. We've got the whole world in our hands. Got it? Okay. It's a symbol of our blue globe in shape and color, but clear. As we sing the traditional African-American spiritual, we've got the whole world in our hands. Notice that the tiny blue marble is free of an image of the future. May remind us every day that what the earth will be like is in our hands, and you are taking these home. Please rise as you are able to sing our closing hymn. We've got the whole world in our hands. The word is already order service. Let us extinguish our chalice and the green sanctuary candle. David and Rudolph, we're about to start. You'll be seeing some photos, about 44 of them actually, of the Cape, past and future. Not yet. It's coming though. He's so excited. Auke, earth, home, precious land. Okay, we're not showing the pictures yet. No, let me shut that off. There's one last thing before that. Thank you so much. So here's a poem. Auke, earth, home, precious land, pond, stones, sea. It is. Hello? Sea and sand. From tiniest microbes to giant blue whales, our water and soil globe, so tenuous and frail. Celebrate with care its fate, mighty oaks reaching for the sun, children playing at dawn into evening late. Auke, our destinies are one. Our power, our planet. As we go from this place together, may we remember that everything we're doing makes a difference. Everything we don't do makes a difference. We have the power, individually and together, to stop using up our planet and instead use renewable energy and our individual and shared power to preserve Earth, our future, and the future of all generations. Now, Old Cape Cod is filled with wonderful memories. As we reminiscent about days gone by, we anticipate new memories that we will create of times to come. As you listen to Joe playing Old Cape Cod, sorry, Joe, on the guitar, we end with images of Cape Cod from the past and present.
we have all these lovely flowers. There are also cards. And these flowers need to be delivered to our friends who can't be with us. So if you can, take a card and a plant and deliver it in the next couple of days for Happy Easter from UUF. Also remind you of the Caring Committee meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock here.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements for the good of the whole? I'd like to welcome you into our service this morning. Most of you know I'm Reverend Joe Cherry, the minister here, until this end of this year. I'd like to tell you a little about us. We are a welcoming congregation, which means that we try to welcome every person, no matter where their family came from, and when they showed up, their accent. They let me speak with the Midwest accent here and everything. No matter who you love, how you identify, we do our best to welcome everyone who comes here. So if you're online or here in the sanctuary, I hope that you will feel welcome, and please enjoy our service.
Good morning. I'm Teddy Bell. For our chalice lighting this morning. As the earth turns once again, this time toward warmer temperatures and longer days, as we celebrate the equinox again this month, I encourage you to let go of the things that no longer serve you and open space for wondrous things that you don't yet know and cannot predict.
So I would like to invite you into our first hymn. Nancy, do you want to tell us about it? You want to come up here and tell us about it?
Hi. I wrote this years ago and I try to have us sing it every year in February, actually, because I wrote it probably when I was very tired of winter and wanted to imagine spring, acres and acres of green grass and flowers. So I invite you to dance a spring dance with me. The insert in your handout. Here. And so I play it through once, then we sing the first verse, then I play again, and we sing the second verse.
What a lovely hymn. Welcome to this time of worship where we set aside time from our regular schedules to sit and contemplate and celebrate things out of ordinary time. One of the great features of this building is the view out the sides here. So I would invite you, keeping in mind the lyrics we just sang, to look outside for a moment and imagine what the future is going to bring us. Every week, we come together to share our joys and our concerns as a community. We've taken to doing this by listening to some beautiful music, by writing down in the book or online in the chat box, a joy or concern which are right from the pulpit. And during the JC Joy of Man Society over here today, you are invited to come to the front and select a stone or a pebble, place in the water to represent a joy or concern you have. Or you're perfectly invited to just sit contemplatively and listen to the beauty around you.
We, one, I would consider a milestone to the memory of our ancestors who fought in the Civil War, which ended on a Palm Sunday, this day in 1865.
And I think I'm going to place one last stone into the bowl for all of the joys, concerns not spoken aloud. I'd like to invite you into a time of stillness, time of setting down, time to listen to your heartbeat. As we begin to anticipate the coming of summer and all of the busyness that happens on the Cape in the summer, I invite you to right now feel the stillness so that in summer you might reach back and remember the stillness when you need to. It is our tradition at the end of this time of stillness to sing together hymn number 123 from the Gray Hymnal called Spirit of Life. Many folks know this by heart, but some don't. So I'm going to give you a little time to find the hymn if you don't know it. I'm going to ring this bell in the interim.
I love that song. Our reading today comes from the Testament of Mary, written by Colin Boyden. They appear more often now, both of them, and on every visit they seem more impatient with me and with the world. There's something hungry and rough in them, a brutality boiling in their blood, which I've seen before and can smell as an animal that is being hunted can smell. But I am not being hunted now, not anymore. I am being cared for and questioned softly and watched. They think that I do not know the elaborate nature of their desires, but nothing escapes me now except sleep. Sleep escapes me. Maybe I am too old to sleep, or there is nothing further to be gained from sleep. Maybe I do not need to dream or need to rest. Maybe my eyes know that soon they will be closed forever. I will stay awake if I have to. I will come down these stairs as the dawn breaks, as the dawn insinuates its rays of light into this room. I have my own reasons to watch and wait. Before the final rest comes, this long awakening, it is enough for me to know that it will end. They think I do not understand what is slowly growing in the world. They think I do not see the point of their questions and do not notice the cruel shadow of exasperation that comes hooded in their faces or hidden in their voices when I say something vague or foolish, something which leads us nowhere. When I seem not to remember what they think, I must remember. They are too locked into their vast and insatiable needs and too dulled by the remnants of terror we all felt then to have noticed that I remember everything. Memory fills my body as much as blood and bones. I like it that they feed me and pay for my clothes and protect me. And in return, I will do for them what I can, but no more than that. Just as I cannot breathe the breath of another or help the heart of someone else to beat, or their bones not to weaken, or their flesh not to shrivel. I cannot say more than I can say. And I know how deeply this disturbs them, and it would make me smile. This earnest need for foolish anecdotes and sharp, simple patterns in the story of what happened to us all, except that I have forgotten how to smile. I have no further need for smiling, just as I had no further need for tears. There was a time when I thought that I had, in fact, no tears left, that I had used up my store of tears. But I am lucky that foolish thoughts like this never linger, are quickly replaced by what is true. There are always tears if you need them enough. It is the body that makes tears. I no longer need tears, and that should be a relief, but I do not seek relief, merely solitude and some grim satisfaction, which comes from the certainty that I will not say anything that is not true. Of the two men who come, one was there with us until the end. There were moments then when he was soft, ready to hold me and comfort me as he is ready now to scowl impatiently when the story I tell him does not stretch to whatever limits he has ordained. Yet I can see signs of that softness still there. And there are times when the glow in his eyes returns before the sighs, and he goes back to his work, writing out the letters one by one that make words he knows I cannot read, which recount what happened on the hill and the days before and the days that followed. I have asked him to read the days. Yes, I have asked him to read the words aloud to me, but he will not. I know that he has written of things that neither he saw nor I saw. I know that he has also given shape to what I lived through, and he witnessed, and that he has made sure that these words matter, that they will be listened to. I remember too much. I am like the air on a calm day as it holds itself still, letting nothing escape. As the world holds its breath, I keep memory in.
The Testament of Mary is I believe, sympathetic telling of a story of Mary as an older woman. And you can tell even, it was very hard to excerpt that because I really wanted to get the sort of understanding that the early church is trying to form the story. And Mary isn't always going along with them, and the tension that creates for her in her really vulnerable place as an older woman with or without children who can support her, whose child has been raised up to be this icon. So it's a sympathetic story, and I would encourage you to read it. It was really interesting, even if, like me, this is not a story you ever really believed in. One of the things I think is true about most religions is there's something in it that you can relate to, even if you don't believe the whole thing. You know, the Torah, the Bible, the Christian New Testament are filled with stories about the human condition, even if you don't believe the water to wine story or the resurrection story. Certainly, there are lessons for us in there. When I attended Missouri Synod Lutheran Church, My favorite service of the year was the Easter sunrise service. I loved to watch the light gathering in the sanctuary of St. Peter's Lutheran Church in Macomb, Michigan. I sang in the choir with my girlfriend and her parents, the four of us making a quartet. Melissa's parents were farm people, and I've always been a morning person, so having church at 6 a.m. was not a hardship for me or them. Melissa, on the other hand, I'm not sure she was ever fully awake during any of the services this early morning. I joined the church because Melissa and her family. I hadn't really attended church much as a kid, and there were aspects of church life that I found very appealing. I loved the sense of community. I loved potlucks. I loved singing in the choir. The theology, though, was never something I could embrace. At some point in my attending St. Peter's, I made a pact with God, or God as I understood God to be. I promised that while I wasn't sure about many things, I would never say things that my heart and mind didn't agree to be true. So I never said the Apostles' Creed or the Nicene Creed. Instead, I would be respectfully silent. A house of worship just seemed like the wrong place to lie. As a compromise, I offered what I hoped was, and what would be seen as, respectful silence. As Unitarian Universalists, Easter Sunday is sometimes an awkward dance. In our sanctuaries on Sundays, there are people for whom the story of the resurrection of hope is deeply meaningful. Just down the pew from them is someone who has been wounded by the same story. There are people skeptical to the point of irritation about the story, and those who have never really been exposed to the story with any intimacy. There are those who find the story to be allegorical, and those who find it unhelpful. This morning, actually last week, someone came up to me after church and said, I hope there won't be much Jesus talk today on Sunday. And I said, well, just show up, it'll be fine. And this morning, someone said, I hope that we won't be talking only about bunnies. So for that, I wanted to say my first crack at the sermon was going to be about Watership Down and gender dysphoria, but then I didn't do that. I was only kidding. But it's a nice example of how we sit together, right? None of us is in the same place, and that's okay. What matters is how we treat each other, not how we think right now, how we belong. There was a guy in my home church, Alan, who said that he changed his theology 3 times while he was a member of the same church. We have that ability. And so here we sit all together this Sunday, and many Sundays navigating many different belief systems. And through our fellowship, demonstrating in a very real way to the rest of the world that different people who believe different things can exist concurrently and in relationship. Not even to merely exist, but to thrive. Not because we all agree, but because we understand that truth is complex. It is not a light switch where there are only 2 positions, on and off, right and wrong. Our congregation is a place where when we find ourselves with divergent ideas, we know that we can offer, if not agreement, a respectful silence. This morning, I wanted to share with you some 19th century Unitarian understandings of Jesus. As most of you know, I love history, and I was hoping you would find this also interesting. In 1867, the roots of the congregation I served just before this was called their first minister, who is the Reverend Trowbridge Brigham Forbush. Trowbridge, there's a name no one calls their kid anymore. So maybe someone needs to think about that. You got grandchildren coming, suggest it. He was called to serve the Unitarian Society of Cleveland. He served that congregation for 8 years and then moved to the First Unitarian Church of Detroit, which is coincidentally the very first Unitarian church I ever stepped foot in. While he served in Detroit, he presented a 10-part lecture series on the man known as Jesus of Nazareth, which that congregation published in 1881. In his opening sermon, which he called The Real Jesus and the Ideal Christ, Reverend Forbush begins this way. A truly great man grows ever greater down the ages. He is like a mountain peak whose shadow falls wider and farther as the sun sinks behind it. There is a more discriminating appreciation, an acknowledgement, perhaps of limitations, a separating of the accidental from the real. But true greatness never becomes less. Though we may discover flaws in his philosophy, Plato grows grander as he grows old. Shakespeare has an enthusiastic regard, almost a reverence today, which he was far from winning as Queen Elizabeth's playwright. Washington, loved and respected while living, now wears the halo of sainthood. The rugged features of Lincoln begin to shine beneath the red crown of martyrdom with a divine radiance. Were this a rude age and we were barbarous people, a few generations would transform our heroes into demigods. We not only forget the imperfections and better understand the virtues of our great ones, but we steadily idealize them. The farther they recede from us, the brighter grows the halo about them, and they are more grandly do their figures loom in the purple distance. The ideal is not the reproduction of the real. It is not history with a dark shade left out. It is imagination weaving the garments of fancy around an historic figure, giving to the historic face features of its own tracing. And oftentimes the ideal may be truer, the best of the individual, truer to his highest principles and noblest purposes, truer to his hopes, his aspirations than the actual life he lived. So part of the reason I chose the reading today was this demonstrates through Mary's eyes, Mary's fictional eyes, how this is already beginning during her lifetime. So here Forbush lays out one of history's greatest struggles, how to remember people as they were in life, not as how we wish they had been. He offers us examples of Plato, Shakespeare, Washington, and Lincoln. For many people in the congregation, when he gave this sermon, Lincoln would have been within living memory. Though Forbush talks of a rude age, meaning an age that is less sophisticated than his own, or even our own, these phenomena happen still. Elvis, John F. Kennedy, their stories of their death being faked, of not real, have been around since they died, and not just on the pages of the National Enquirer. Musician Tupac Shakur was assassinated in 1996, but in an album posthumously released in 2002, Tupac recorded these words: "Expect me like you expect Jesus to come back." In an article from the Rolling Stone magazine, journalist Becca Grimm chronicles the belief that Tupac would return from the dead on July 7, 2007, or 07/07/07. A brief, according to Grimm, a belief that was held, according to Grimm, by many of Tupac's fans, in all sincerity. Given enough length of time, even with records that are written, any personality might, according to Reverend Forbush, rise to the level of a demigod. But that doesn't mean Jesus or anyone else actually was a demigod. How often have you heard the phrase, "We shouldn't speak ill of the dead"? What must we do then? Only speak the parts of someone's personality that we enjoyed? What about their difficult parts, their sharp edges? Are we to pretend they didn't exist? When my younger brother died 7 years ago, a friend of mine did the service, which I was grateful for. And she did not tell me that she expected me to speak. So she sat down and she was, okay, talk to the people. I had nothing prepared. And my brother and I had a very difficult relationship. So I walked up and I said, it will come as no surprise to anyone in this room that to me, my brother was a mystery. He had lifelong friends since they were like kindergartners together in that sanctuary. And yet he and I could scarcely be in the same room for 15 minutes without yelling at each other. Am I supposed to forget all the hard parts? If we don't talk about the things about a person that was difficult to deal with, we do two things at least. We intentionally misremember them, who they were, and we deny ourselves or others the ability to deal with any hurt or trauma they may have suffered in their relationship with the deceased. When we have loved someone up close, we know their faults and their weaknesses, as well as their strengths and gifts. When we love someone from afar, their humanity is less present to us because we are not nearby to notice things like how person A might have terrible breath, or how person B might be a very bad tipper in restaurants, which is a former waiter makes you a bad person, believe me. We wouldn't know that person C has the annoying habit of finishing the last of something and leaving the empty vessel in the fridge. Or worse yet, putting the empty jar back in the fridge. I want to be clear that none of these habits belong to the person I live with, which is why I use them. But if you admire an artist, a politician, a teacher, a storyteller from afar, you aren't exposed to those parts of their reality, so it is easier to see them as having greater potential to lift humanity. Jesus was such a person, as was Tupac and Lincoln and Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. Someone having the potential to lift humanity gives us hope that we might too, in our own small way, help lift humanity, help our own selves up from where we are today. And so we tell their stories. And as we tell their stories, the rougher parts of our own reality get buffed away. How many of you have seen the artistic renderings of Dr. King with a halo around his head? I know I had. He was murdered just a little over 50 years ago. Actually, 55 years ago. I know because I was 6 months old. The same span of time has passed between when Dr. King was assassinated and the time between when Jesus was crucified and the first gospel began being written. Unitarians have long struggled with this idea of the divinity of Jesus. While not in a direct and straight line, this has been our question since the earliest centuries of Christianity. When Emperor Constantine called the Council of Nicaea, it was to get all of his empire to practice the same version of Christianity. He called the Council of Nicaea in 325. There was a great debate between those who viewed Jesus as the subordinate Son of God, a man who lived a certain lifespan, and those who believed that Jesus was the Son of God and was eternal, present at the point of creation of the universe, and would be present at the end of it also. In this debate, Arius, a priest who believed in Jesus as the subordinate Son of God, in this debate, he lost. And it became Catholic teaching that Jesus was the co-creator of the universe, part of the Holy Trinity. And this is where we get the Nicene Creed, which I'm going to read to you. Because I don't know it, I'd look it up. If you want, and you're comfortable and you want to read along, I'm offering this in respect. I want to be clear about that. And so if you want to join in, please do. I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. I believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, born of the Father before all ages, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten, not made, consubstantial with the Father. Through him all things were made. For us men in our salvation, he came down from heaven, and by the Holy Spirit was incarnate of the Virgin Mary and became man. For our sake, he was crucified under Pontius Pilate. He suffered death and was buried and rose again on the third day in accordance with the scriptures. He ascended into heaven and is seated at the right hand of the Father. He will come again in glory to judge the living and the dead, and his kingdom will have no end. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Lord, the giver of life, who proceeds from the Father and the Son, who with the Father and the Son is adored and glorified, who has spoken through the prophets. I believe in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. I confess one baptism for the forgiveness of sins, and I look forward to the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. Amen. This theology could not be more foreign to me. I've never believed in intercessory God. In the second grade, when I went to Presbyterian Church, I got sent to the minister's office because I demanded to know. I assumed that the Holy Ghost was a woman in 1975. So none of this really is for me, but I hope you see me presenting it with care and respect, because that's what we should do with each other's beliefs. In this, you hear the phrase, I believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, born of the Father before all ages, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten, not made, consubstantial with the Father, and through him all things are made. The key here is consubstantial, of the same substance. But our man, Arius, he did not agree with that. He thought that Jesus was a son of God, but not God of the very same substance. Because he stood up and defended his position about Jesus in front of 300 bishops and the emperor, because this was recorded, this heretical idea of Jesus as man, not God, gave birth to the Arian churches, which survived for hundreds of years, which helped early modern Unitarians to articulate our beliefs in the 15th and 16th centuries, our direct theological ancestors. Easter is, in a fundamental way, about hope. I hope you can see how a man who inspired others with or without the miracles he's supposed to have done, how a person who worked his whole adult life for the benefit of others, how the story of a person like that should be celebrated. I hope that you can see those people with whom you live in close proximity to you. You can see them as others beyond their domestic annoyances. I hope that you can see yourself in a life lived of service to others, that you're working in the same vein as that rabbi of 2,000 years ago, that you can see that how a human being, this man named Jesus, had all the same human feelings that you probably do, and yet he did the work for as long as he could. I hope that you know that what you do is enough. Enough to bring comfort to the afflicted, to afflict the comfortable, to bring justice to our fallible world, and to bring love to your neighbors. May we all be so inspired. As we prepare again to listen to some beautiful music and take the offertory, I want to remind you that we are a self-sustaining congregation, that we are responsible for our upkeep. Despite all the talk about Jesus today, we're not the Catholic Church. There's no giant repository in the back full of money. We are responsible for ourselves. This is one of the ways in which we maintain our independence. So if you're visiting us today, please feel free to touch the basket, but you don't have to put anything in it. You're visiting today. So join us in our community of touching the basket as we listen to music. Please take out your gray hymnals and turn to number 61 on the front, rising in body and spirit as you're able to sing together a hymn called Lo, the Earth Awakes Again. And I would encourage you to sing with great exuberance today.
We extinguish this, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Okay. It's all okay. One of the joys and struggles of being a Unitarian Universalist minister is today there are 4 giant religious things all happening at the same time. And I couldn't talk about all of them with you. So I want to acknowledge Passover. I want to acknowledge the fact that people are fasting the day. And I want to acknowledge the birth of the Buddha. Otherwise, we'd have to keep you here till 3 o'clock to talk about it all. But this is part of our multiplicity, part of our ability to hold multiple truths and care and find inspiration in multiple sources. So I hope that you have an inspiring, lovely day, that your week is full of great things. I look forward to seeing you again soon.